Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Marla.
A couple of years ago, I bought a ticket to meet my sister and her husband on their vacation in Mexico. And she had not invited me. But I thought she had. So what happened? It was miscommunication. So my sister and I were texting back and forth, and she was telling me about her upcoming vacation plans. I received a text, and I thought she was inviting me to join her in Mexico, so I bought a ticket. It turns out she was inviting me to FaceTime, but I thought she was inviting me.
Hold the paper up a little bit more.
I thought she was inviting me to FaceTime.
Okay.
But as it turned out, she was inviting me to fit me in. I thought she wanted to fit me into her vacation, but she actually was trying to FaceTime me. So I misread it and I bought a ticket.
So is that the sign is that what she had written?
Yeah, she said F/T. And I thought it said FIT.
Wow.
So I thought she said I can fit you in if you have the time. So I made the time and I bought the ticket. So as you can see, I have experienced the negative effects of miscommunication. Have you? Maybe with a loved one, a friend, or a coworker that resulted in confusion, anger, resentment, or hurt feelings. Say, for example, you made plans with your friend. You're like, hey, let's go to the beach tomorrow if it's going to be nice. You wake up and you go to the beach and expecting to find your friend there, and then they don't show up. And then you call them and you're like, why aren't you here? And they're like, well, it's not nice out. And you're like, yeah, it is nice out. And you end up spending the day at the beach by yourself and you're mad because your friend doesn't join you.
But you didn't spend money on a ticket, so.
Right. So today I would like to talk to you about miscommunication and share 3 things that I learned from this experience that can help to minimize miscommunication and deal with it effectively. I realize that miscommunication can be enhanced in interpersonal relationships if we utilize techniques in listening strategies, perception checking, and empathy skills. So the first thing I'd like to talk to you about is one strategy for effective listening to reduce miscommunication, and that's a term called psychological noise. So there's nothing more important than listening. It's critical for effective communication. Listening is a skill that requires work, and you need to be aware of psychological noise and its interference with listening. So psychological noise is a distraction to the speaker's message caused by the receiver's internal thoughts. So I like to think of psychological noise like temporary amnesia. It's like, have you ever driven somewhere and you've gone from point A to point B and you arrive at point B, but you have no idea how you even got there because you weren't, like, your mind was off in la la land. So with my sister, she was texting me from Toronto and asking if my mom's health was okay to go and join them in Mexico. I was rushing for work. My mind was full of racing thoughts. Am I going to be late? What am I going to make for dinner? Is my client going to be his usual jerk self that he usually is? My mind was mentally preoccupied. I wasn't paying attention to her texts, and I just rattled off, yes, mom should be fine. So as authors Eiley, Wyman, Sachs, and Wiley pointed out in a journal article in 2014, psychological noise results from preconceived notions that we bring to the communication process. And one of these preconceived notions are assumptions. So that's exactly what I did with my sister. I assumed I wasn't paying attention because of the psychological noise in my head. The miscommunication between my sister and I was not just because of the fact that I realized that I needed reading glasses from that point on, but when we enter a conversation with ideas about what the communicator is going to say, we can become blinded to their original message. No pun intended. I was blind to the message. When my sister texted, I knew she was apprehensive about my mom going. And when my sister said, could she FaceTime me.
Mm.
I assume the text said I can fit you in if you have the time, because my preconceived notion was that she would be more comfortable if I escorted her, our mom, on the trip. So I assumed. The implication is that psychological noise can distort messages received by the sender. We need to be aware of our own psychological noise and actively listen to the communicator to engage in effective listening to reduce misunderstandings. So I just explained to you what psychological noise is. Now let me discuss point number 2, which is perception checking. One way of reducing misunderstandings and not jumping to conclusions is a communication technique called perception checking. So perception checking reduces misunderstandings, it reduces assumptions. It's a 3-part method aimed at clarifying by pulling the facts out. It entails the description of the behavior, 2 possible interpretations, followed by a request for clarification. When my sister realized I had booked a ticket to Mexico, I found out she was angry. I was confused. Like, why was she angry? She invited me. As Erminger explained in her short report in 1996, perception checking is an effort to understand the feelings behind the words, avoiding any expression of approval or disapproval. So instead of responding in anger and becoming defensive, I could have approached the situation something like this to understand her feelings and clarify the miscommunication between us. So I could have said something to her like this: when I heard you were angry at me for buying that ticket to Mexico, I'm wondering if I misread your text, or did you change your mind and now you would prefer that I don't go? I'm confused. Can you please clarify? By perception checking, I could have decoded her message more accurately. It would have reduced conflict and assumptions. A misunderstanding would not have occurred, resulting in effective communication. So now that you understand psychological noise and the method of perception checking, I would like to discuss point number 3, which is empathy. Understanding empathy is essential for effective communication. With empathy, you're trying to understand the thoughts, feelings, and experiences of another individual, putting yourselves in their shoes, so to speak. I like to remember empathy as your pain is in my heart. As leadership consultant Baker explained in his post in 2016, demonstrating empathy means you seek to understand and seek to help another person feel understood. So how do you do this? First, it requires a person to talk less and listen more, not just listen, but actively listen and try to connect with the individual. Second, let the other person go first. You will be more effective in explaining your point in an empathetic way when it's your turn. Third, let them know you understand them before moving on. This can help to reduce heated conversations. Regarding my sister, all I did was think about me. I was so excited. I hadn't been on a trip in like 10 years. I was going to be away from my husband and my kids. And I took the time off work. And now what am I going to say to my boss? I don't need to take the time off work now because my sister doesn't want me coming to Mexico with them. How embarrassing is that? Not once did I take the time to wonder why my sister was upset. But if I engaged in empathy, my sister and I could have had a conversation something like this. So Jennifer is going to portray my sister.
I'm really upset, Marla.
Come over,
Why?
Jennifer. Let's see you. Can't see Jen.
Can you see
Oh,
us?
yeah,
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so what? No.
I'm really upset, Marla,
Why?
because I invite you to Mexico. If I invite you to Mexico, that means at some point I'm going to have to invite all the family members.
Well, what's wrong with that?
This was not my intention. My husband will be so mad at me. This is our vacation and I wanted mom to come.
Oh, so you just wanted mom to come, not me. I understand why you're upset. I don't want you to be upset, so therefore I will not accompany mom on this trip to Mexico. Would that make you feel better?
Yes, it would. Thanks for understanding my point of view.
So engaging in empathy, it helps to reduce misunderstandings. So here, if I put myself in her shoes, I would have understood her feelings and it would have eliminated my anger and the resentment that was brewing inside of me. So in exercising in empathy, we consider the other person's perspective, their emotions, their concern, and we would be engaging in effective communication, thus reducing misunderstandings. So in conclusion, no matter how well we listen, no matter how good the questions we ask are, we all know there's going to be misunderstandings. It cannot be avoided completely. We know that. But if we engage in the 3 communication strategies that I spoke of, one being psychological noise and being aware of what's going on in your mind in a conversation, 2, following the perception checking method, and 3, engaging in empathy, these can help to minimize the negative effects of miscommunication. So in the end, when we all realized how the misunderstanding occurred, and it wasn't like I voluntarily invited myself on this vacation, my sister truly did want me to accompany our mom and meet them in Mexico. So I did end up going, and we had a wonderful trip. We all laugh about this now. And who knows? Hang on, I forgot the most important thing. And we all laugh about this now. Maybe it's not a bad idea to postpone getting reading glasses, because in the end, it turned out really well for me. I had a free trip to Mexico.
It was free?
Yeah, well, I had to pay for the airfare, but the accommodation was free.
Oh my gosh, even better.
And we had a fantastic trip. Like, we laugh about it now, but I thought she was saying, you know, she was worried about my mom's health. And when she said, I can fit you in if you have the time.
Okay.
So I booked the time off to go, but she wasn't asking me to fit in. She was asking me to FaceTime me if I had the time.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
I see somebody was.
That was so good.
Somebody was taking notes from those videos. I heard every transition, everything. I am so impressed. Thank you.
Woo, it's over.
It's over. And come on, despite the stress, Marlo, what would you say is your biggest takeaway from the process?
Well, I should have, I think it was just the perception checking, because nobody in my family had been invited to go. And I didn't even stop to think, like, why is she inviting me? I didn't even stop to even think about it. I should have said to her, like, oh, you know, that's really nice of you. Are you sure you would like me to come? I didn't do anything.
I guess you really wanted a trip. You really wanted
to. Like I didn't even think twice, and I had that ticket booked.
Wow.
You know, what happened is that a week had gone by, and I was thinking, you know what, I'm not going to go. I'm going to miss the kids, blah, blah, blah. And then my mom was like, come, when's the last time you've been on a holiday? I thought, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go. So I text her and I said, Mom and I are going to see you on this 22nd of February. And she goes, ha, ha, LOL. I went, yeah, ha, ha, LOL. And then a couple of days later, she's like, did you actually book a ticket? And I said, yeah, well, you invited me. She goes, no, I didn't. And I go, yeah, you did. It says right here, you can fit me in if I have the time.
Wow.
And then her brother-in-law got involved, and he's like, are you calling my wife a liar? I said, I'm not calling my sister a liar. She invited me. And then I copied and pasted the text to them because she had deleted it. I said, it says right here, I can fit you in. And they were like, it doesn't say fit you in. It says FaceTime F/